Welcome, children of the night. I am your host, Father Mahoney, and with me is my personal Renfield, Cyrus Alderwood.
Hey, thanks, man. Hey, I got to tell you, that's some bitchin' intro music. Like every time I hear that song, I feel like I'm Beavis over in the corner in my own personal mosh pit. I just
Yeah,
want to
you
like
doing?
start knocking crap off the furniture and yeah. No, I just need to get one of those blonde quaffs that go up in the air. Do my cornholio impersonation.
TP
Hey,
for my
Rob.
portfolio. Yes,
Rob, are you
yes.
keeping warm up there? You're up in Boston. You keeping warm? It's colder than a witch's you know what down here.
Colder than a witch's tit.
It is
Uh,
colder than a
Speaking of
witch's
tits,
tit
no.
bird.
Titbird, yes. No, it's actually not too cold here today. It's probably about 1920, which I've heard some of the southern states have actually hit like 7 or 8. So and we just got snow. We just got about 4 inches of snow today. So doing good. We don't really get a lot of big storms up here, contrary to what people believe. We get like last year, we got a total of only 8 inches. So that's about the size of my So
Size of your ego. Yeah, I'm showing right now 9 degrees here. It feels like negative. It feels like what does it feel like? It feels like hell. Is what it feels like. It feels like -1.
yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of the states down south are getting like slammed as far as colds, but yeah, it's like about 18 here. I just about 30 minutes ago before the show, I was about to message our producer, and man, I found a funny fact about our producer. He's psychic because as
Oh yeah.
soon as I start typing to him, he was typing to me, and I was like, oh my god, like did he know I was typing to him, and he
The
wanted to
Ouija
beat me
board.
to it, and he
The
wanted to
Ouija
beat me
board
to
told
it.
him the answer. Uh,
So I was letting him know that I was going across the street to get something, to drink for the show, and uh, I was like, "Wow, it's actually not that bad out here." Some of my southern guys are like freezing their balls off, and I'm up here living the dream. I don't know whose dream, but it's someone's dream.
hey, well, you gotta live somebody's dream. Jesus, man. Yeah, I mean, I was earlier we were talking about some. I got a couple of questions for you, like a little debate before we get into our topic tonight. But we were
Okay.
we were talking about some unfortunate names, Rob,
Yes.
and I remember like a few years ago, I was looking up some of the people who had the funniest names in sports, and there was a guy that played for the Browns by the name of Harry Colin, and I thought, well, that's really unfortunate. And
Yeah.
then there was a hockey player, you probably would remember this. His name was Tugnut.
Yeah.
Um, did he play for the Whale? He played for the
I
Whale in
think
his
he was.
hockey.
I think he was. I think he was a whale. Yeah.
And
The old Hartford team.
yeah, I mean, and there was a guy that played for Florida State by the name of Dakota Fag. And then there's who's that guy? He's pro now, but I think he played for LSU. Uh, Ha Ha Clinton Dix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's
He's pro now, and I used to laugh at the name just because it was haha, but then I didn't like finish the name, and then someone's like, "Yeah, his last name is Dix," and I was like, "Ha ha, Dix."
oh man, there's some unfortunate names out there. And on this, I sent this link to you, and I think I sent it over to the producer too. It was from cheeseburger.com. Oh my god, this one lady who's running for office. She's a personal trainer, and it says here, vote for Charity. Her name is Charity Beaver.
My favorite was the one that said crystal meth. Like,
I know
yeah,
that was that was funny. Crystal
yeah,
meth was,
yeah.
and then there was a guy by the name of. This is a mug shot of this dude. His name is Cash, spelled with a K. Last name Register.
Yes, I saw that one. Cash register, but you know what? It reminds me of. It reminds me of that old movie Porky's when they when he made the phone call from Mike Hunt, and he's
I
like,
really,
"Hey, has anyone seen Mike Hunt?" And I was like, "No, but I'd like to."
I scroll down the list. Here's a sign for, I guess, somebody's office door. Assistant to the registrar, gay neighbors.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
So if anybody, you want to tell people where to find this, if they want to look up that we're telling the truth.
yeah, it's on cheeseburger.com. Just look up the most unfortunate names ever bestowed upon people. And here's one. I remember this dude, former congressman. His name is Dick Sweat, Swett. No joke. There's one on the screen, Mr. Perv, 5th grade.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Mr. Perv's 5th grade. Now there's a class you don't want your kid in.
But the one you mentioned earlier, the Hartford Whaler, he was a goalie. I remember his full name. It was Ron Tugnut.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Ron. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a goalie. I think he played for like multiple teams, but I think his best years were with Hartford.
Hey, here's number 11 on the list, Rob. Dr. Shit Fun Chu, undersung scientist. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talk about like kids that were like probably pissed at their parents later on in life.
Oh, I know. Who would name this guy? Your last name's Mussolini. Who names you Hitler? But here it is. Hitler Mussolini, number 12 on the list.
Wow. Like, yeah, that kid probably got his ass kicked on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine you're a Jewish kid going to this school, and you're the kid sitting in the next seat next to you is named Hitler.
I know. Here's number 17 on the list. This I thought was pretty funny. How fitting. This guy's name is Paul Tucock, Stonewall Gay Rights Charity. And
Wow.
Like, you're a gay rights charity and your name's Tucock. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Hey, someone can get pleasured by two people at once.
I guess. He must also know number 21 on the list, Mr. Butt from the art department.
It sounds like a character from Beavis and Butthead.
It sort of does, doesn't it?
It's like Mr. Butt. Mr. Butt.
All right, I was kind of unsure about this one, number 25 on the list, Sparkle Titsworth. Northwest Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City. Here's one called
people that's still alive.
Hey, here's a Home Depot employee, number 27, Dick Berger, appliance specialist.
I don't think I know him.
And number 28. Yeah, you don't work with that guy? Okay.
No.
Number 28, Yolanda Squat Pump. And that's on IMDb.
So this person's like an actress too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's your uncle, number 29, Mo Lester.
Mo Lester. Oh, well, let me bring up what I told you in our talks earlier. So I was living in Indiana years ago before I had moved to Ohio, and the actual name of the place that had a therapist was called Therapist. One day, Father Mahoney's drunk, and we're going by this place, and all I could see was the second half of the word, rapist. And I'm thinking, like, who would want to go to a therapist that's a rapist? The rapist. Put it together, it's therapist. And I'm like, wow. Like, you have to go to a therapist when you're a rapist, when you're a rape victim, I should say. And how could you walk into this place and the name of the place is therapist? Like, yeah. I think that's a lot of trauma for a person right there.
I think it is.
I'm going to the rapist to get help.
Yeah, what kind of help are you looking for? What kind of, yeah. All right, here's number 32 on the list. I'll drop this topic, but these are some funny names. So if anybody's watching and you have the baseball card for this guy, number 32 on this list, he played for the Red Barons. His name is Steve Sharts, pitcher. Scranton Wilkes-Barre Red Barons. I know this card is probably worthless, but if you have this baseball card, I will give you $10 for it. I'm just throwing it out there. Anybody has this card, I will be willing to pay you $10. It's worthless, Just put it in an envelope, wrap it up in some tin foil or whatever. And then, of course, 33. Number 33 was pretty funny. A Remax sign for sale by B.J. Worthy.
I don't know if you ever give me $10 for the Ron Tugnut card, but I used to have a Ron Tugnut card.
Here's an ice. Speaking of ice hockey, here's a guy, number 37, retired American ice hockey player who played 144 games in the World Hockey Association for the Minnesota Fighting Saints. Remember that? I mean, we were not old enough to see that, but like from 72 to 74, I remember that name. His name was Dick Paradise.
Dick, living in Dick Paradise.
That's funny, man. I gotta get a better.
These names are great people.
No, here's one serious Bonner.
Yes, Cyrus only did a few names, people. So yeah, go to cheeseburger.com for most unfortunate names. Your eyes will not deceive you. I swear.
They're hilarious. They're all hilarious. There's like 50 of them. I found another one that had 100 names of unfortunate people. So yeah, just go laugh to your heart's content, make fun of other people. That's what we're put here for, to make fun of other people.
Yeah.
And
just like I'm making fun of Ryback because of what I just saw on TikTok. I was telling you guys before the show. If anybody's a wrestling fan out there, you guys remember the name Ryback. Probably was early 2010s to maybe 2018. Wrestled for the WWE and wrestled some big names out there that are still around. And maybe about an hour ago, I was cruising on TikTok because, yes, I have a TikTok too. But this guy who was a famous wrestler, made millions of dollars, is begging people for gifts. And anybody who wants to send this to Ryback, I have no problem. If you're on TikTok, I'm calling him out right now because you made millions of dollars, motherfucker, and now you're like begging people for like fucking hearts and fictional. See, if you're not a TikTok person, you can purchase gifts to give to your favorite content creators. Now, if you're giving it to someone who's just like you and I, we're just common people, fine. You want to build them up, I have no problem with that. You want to try to give it to a guy who made millions of dollars for a few years and fucked up his own career, man, I will take on Ryback. I send a personal challenge. I will be on TikTok. You find me, we'll battle, motherfucker, because, man, you're begging common people for their hard-earned money. And you're saying, yes, your old tired stick, feed me more. Man, I'll feed you my fucking fist in your face, though.
Listen, you ought to call a press conference.
It just got to the point where, like, man, like, get back into wrestling. Oh, and here's one more thing before I drop the Ryback topic. So about a couple of months ago, when you guys know CM Punk, when CM Punk got fired from AEW, he made a statement saying that if CM Punk ever came back to wrestle again, he would retire. Well, CM Punk came back to the WWE, and he said that he wasn't. He was making a joke of it. Man, motherfucker, you retire because you got called out by all your people that support you. You said you would retire. You're still here. Retire.
Yeah.
There's the end of my rant.
That chaps my ass about like celebrities that say, if so-and-so wins the election, I'm leaving the country. And I've heard that every president. Get out already, for God's sake.
Yeah. Go.
Rosie O'Donnell, just enough of you.
Well, Rosie O'Donnell, she's a lost cause.
There are a lot of lost causes on TV still wasting their time.
By the way, I want to give a shout out. I want to give a quick shout out to my boys at the Backwoods Horror. I did watch the show last night. Great show as always, guys. But at the end, they mentioned how I've been a really super busy person lately, and I have. I've found my will to keep doing this channel. At a point, I was going to give it up because I was getting like 3 views, 4 views, 5 views. But you know what? I realized even if one person watches and they enjoy it, and I get that little thumbs up like, hey, awesome show, I found it's worth it. Because
Yeah.
that person, that one person may be having the worst day of their life, and if I got them away for whatever my show I do, because I've been doing a couple different segments lately, if it's a 5-minute segment or an hour and a half segment, and they get enjoyment out of it, I made one person happy. So uh,
Yeah.
thanks for that.
See,
That.
yeah, I'm kind of like that when it comes to the podcast. It's not about. I like getting listens. I want to get listens. I want to get views on YouTube and all that. But it's I just do it for fun. Do it for me. If anybody's
Yeah,
critical of it, then I don't give a rat's ass. It's you know like I don't exist to please other people. Yeah, honestly, I just gotta have fun with what you're doing. And if I don't know if it's not fun, just make it fun or make fun of
yeah,
people. I mean, that's just why, especially people with unfortunate names like Ron Tugnut. I'm sure he could still beat my ass, but that's okay.
Hey, I used to have, like I said, I used to have his cards. So I used to be a hockey card collector. So I remember that name and I remember that card that I used to have, but I don't collect them anymore. It's like
Well, I'm not.
$8 a pack now.
I don't collect cards, but I'm willing to pay $10 for one. Steve Sharts from the Red Barons. That's floating around out there. It's mine.
Oh, and I want to share one more thing before we get into our topic. So one of my personas besides Father Mahoney is people know me as the Bruins guy. And the 4-year anniversary of that name is coming up on March 16th. And anybody who lives in Boston, the Bruins guy will be in Boston on March 16th at the same location that the Bruins guy was founded at City Hall. Now, we do have a new lady mayor, and she'll probably have my ass arrested if I get too close. So I might, if she's having a press conference that day, don't expect me to be in the same position as when people first found me. But I will be in and around the City Hall area on March 16th, not May, March 16th. So if you're in Boston, or if you live in Boston or around Boston, come out and see me.
There's a way around getting manhandled by the authorities like that if you get a little too close. Just pour some like lemonade in a colostomy bag. Just kind of carry it. Like nobody has to know. Just put it in your pocket. The little, the lines in your pocket or something. Nobody has to know. They're not going to come in there and try and wrestle a guy down. It's got like chocolate pudding and lemonade in a colostomy bag. They won't risk it. They won't risk it.
Bill Cosby.
They won't risk it. They might try to gingerly escort you away, but at least the rough stuff is out of the question. I'm just throwing it out there.
But I like the rough stuff, though.
Well, to each their own. Hey, I know we're going to get into Rocky, but I was going to ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
And it's kind of debatable, but it's about sports. But we can go into this a little bit more on the podcast sometime. But I got to thinking, when it comes to sports, we've seen some coaches retiring recently up in your neck of the woods, Belichick.
Yeah.
And either retire or get fired. Saban, he retired, but we've seen so many great athletes retire. Brady a couple years ago, and but I had like two different categories: who had the best sports career, and then who had the best coaching career. So let me throw this out here real quick to you. On the coaching first, because Belichick, it's right in the it's forefront every morning when you turn on sports news. Yeah. Who had the best coaching career? Bill Belichick, and if you're a hockey fan, Scotty Bowman, the winningest hockey coach of all time. Nick Saban, greatest college coach of all time. And I'm going to throw this one. It's like throwing a little monkey in the wrench here, or however that phrase goes. Pat Summitt, that coached the Tennessee girls all those years. Yes. She is the winningest basketball coach, men or women, of all time. And unfortunately, with her health and illness, but she was a trendsetter. Out of those four people, who had the best coaching career? I mean, because Belichick was with the Browns and kind of under Parcells. It's just he had some hits and misses until Tom Brady came along.
Well, being a New England boy, I would love to say Belichick, but man, Scotty Bowman is hard to argue. Scotty Bowman, and I'm not a fan of the. I'm just a Bruins guy, but I respect all players, coaches for the accomplishments they did. Like I'm even the guy who quoted that I love Derek Jeter as a player, and he's a Yankee. And if you're involved in the Yankee Red Sox rivalry, you don't like other Yankees. So
I've just got to respect his play on the
yeah,
field, though.
yes. But I
Guys in
just had
general.
at work. I just had a conversation with a fan who's a Yankee fan, and we were talking about Derek Jeter. I said I respect the fuck out of that guy, so I can step outside the box. So you ask me who I think is the best coach, and I'm going to tell you probably Scotty Bowman. So
Yeah, I was leaning toward Bowman because he did it for so many years. I mean,
yeah,
and I know Saban had a big run in college football, and then of
yes.
course Belichick with the dynasty with the Patriots. But after Brady left, I think that showed he.
Well, I had that conversation with someone too
Yeah,
about that. You don't play for a individual; you play for a coach. The thing about Brady is Brady was always, besides like Randy Moss and a few other people, he was always saddled with guys who were substandard players.
he lifted
And
them.
yeah, he lifted them. But every time that substandard player went somewhere else because Brady lifted them, and now their stock went higher, they bombed wherever else they went.
Yeah,
So
good case in point was I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but they were Super Bowl champions. Brady wanted to keep him. He went out to Denver and played with Peyton Manning and wasn't nearly the guy he was with Brady.
no, Welker.
Well, Wes Welker, that's right.
Yeah,
And not that he's a bad
Wes.
player, but Brady, for whatever reason, had a chemistry with subpar players, and he made that team better. And
Yes,
I think we
he knows.
see. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say with the drafting that Belichick's done, and um, he still kind of gets the most out of a bad bunch, but he just had a bad bunch. I think Brady was a bigger
Yeah.
part of that key than a lot of people realize. And the fact that Brady did it without him at a high level
Well,
for
there was a
3
chance
years.
of getting better quarterbacks before Brady left, and they always skipped on them because I love Robert Kraft, but Robert Kraft doesn't like to go out and spend money for players. He likes to get guys who are better than average, but not marquee players.
And they got lucky
And
when they hit on Brady
yeah,
in the sixth
and
round.
then of course when they got Mac Jones, which I still to this day don't think that Mac Jones is a bad quarterback. He's a bad decision maker. That there's a difference between being a bad quarterback and being a bad decision maker. So I think he'll find a place somewhere that it'll fit his style. And he was also put in a tough position. How do you follow Tom Brady? Like
You know,
you can't. And I think that comparison after the first couple of games, yeah, he looked great his first couple of games, but people were like, "Oh, he's just like Brady." You can't put that kind of pressure on a guy who's a fucking rookie.
and
So
then to have the audacity to say that Brady was too old and let him go and let him walk, and then he just puts it
yeah,
right back in your face. I think out of the two, when history is all debated out, I think people are going to say that it was Brady that was the biggest part of that dynasty, and not Belichick being such a great coach. He's a great coach,
yeah,
but out of those four, I mean, I know I was leaning to Scotty Bowman, but I think I'm going to go Pat Summitt because we're never going to see that again in women's sports basketball. And I'm not a
yeah.
big fan of it, but like being in Virginia and then being next to Tennessee, and you get a over the years that her legacy has been part of this region because I'm about 3.5 hour drive from Knoxville, and you get that. But I think I don't know. I mean, the fact that she was out there, a lot of people wouldn't think about it, but I thought about it, and I thought, well, you got to lump her in with some of the best coaching careers of all time.
Yeah.
And if there's a lot of people, like I said, would just forget women's sports entirely. Which brings me to my next question for you, Rob. Who
Okay.
had the best career? Now, keep in mind, there's like people that are individual athletes, and those are on teams. So I'm gonna throw 4 names at you,
Okay.
and you can tell me who had the best careers: Gretzky, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, or Serena Williams.
Hmm. Well, a lot of people don't realize I used to be a big tennis watcher, and as much as I love Serena Williams, I don't think that she's the best even in her profession. Not, to me, the best tennis player ever was Martina Navratilova. Um, so it's not her. As much as I respect her, she's a great, like she put her sister to shame.
Oh
Um,
yeah, because I think everybody thought that her sister would be the dominant one, and it turned out to be Serena.
and you throw me in a loop because as much as I love Brady, we had just talked about Brady. Man, how can you argue against Gretzky? I mean, the guy averaged.
Yeah,
There was one season he averaged 2.1 points a game for his not for his career, for this one season. How do you get almost 2 to 3 points a game? That's that's insane. There's some
yeah.
players that are lucky they get 1 point a game, and he was averaging 2.1. So I'm a Bobby Orr guy. I'm a Ray Bork guy. But man, if you don't put those guys in there, I'm definitely have to go with Gretzky. So
Yeah, I mean,
it,
because when I got into hockey, I was sort of watching him on the downside of his career, and even on the downside of his career, coming away from the Kings and then going to went over and won one in New York.
yeah, the
It's like,
Rangers.
yeah, I mean, they put a super team together to win that one.
Yeah, because
Um,
I think his ex teammate was on that one too, from the Oilers. Can't remember his name now.
Mark
But
Messier.
Mark Messier, yeah, Mark
Yeah.
Messier was part of that team again. So it was like the old Oilers getting back together again.
Oh yeah, and you
But
had Richter in goal. Who Richter at the time was one of the top 3 or 4 best goalies in the game.
yes,
And so I mean they were stacked up and down. I just pulled up Serena next to Martina, and I know Serena is all the rest. I mean she's changed tennis a lot culturally
yeah,
and being just totally dominant. And I've always loved tennis, by the way. I watched a lot when I was younger too, and played a lot. And total career finals for um, Serena, 98 wins. She's won 23 Grand Slams. She
yeah,
took home a Summer Olympic, which I think is a big deal. Like Summer Olympics, she took 3 in doubles and a gold in individual and singles. But people forget how dominant Martina was because when I started watching, it was kind of the downslope of her career, and I was there were other people I liked, but because she's close to 70 now,
yeah,
but she won tour finals. Can this be right? Her career record is 1,442 wins, 219 losses. That's almost an 87% win rate with
yeah,
167 career titles.
yeah,
So she's almost doubling up Serena.
yeah.
Um,
No one's ever gonna pass Martina, and I wasn't even the biggest Martina fan. I was a Chris Everett Lloyd fan. I loved it. I love Chrissy Everett. And then when Steffi Graf came around, boo, Steffi was
oh,
hard to look at.
Steffi was awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
but every time I watched anyone against Martina, it was almost like the beauty versus the beast. But the beast also was a beast at what she did.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um, and I know there are people dropping their jaw like, can you not say Michael Jordan? And I get it.
yeah,
He's the goat. He's the goat. The only guy to ever do three-peat, back-to-back three-peats. Well, almost the only guy. But
yeah,
he hasn't. I was looking at who had won the most NBA championships. Bill Russell still stands night and day above everybody with 11
yeah,
titles.
yeah. And he also got some as a coach.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's Bill Russell. A lot of people, when I hear these top 10 basketball playlists, I never hear anybody mention Bill Russell. And there's a reason for that. Bill Russell wasn't much of a scorer. He scored when he needed to. His job was to stop
Oh,
people
he was.
from scoring.
Yeah, he was a center, right? So
Yeah,
he was a
yeah.
defensive player, and he was probably
He
one of the
was
most imposing
he was a
defensive
block.
players.
Yeah, he was a block
Yeah.
master. Like he
Yeah.
he would take on all the guys, the top guys back then. Kareem. He's the only man that could contain Kareem. I mean, yes, Kareem would still score on him because Kareem had that vicious skyhook. Like no one could stop that skyhook, and no one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would put actually Kareem ahead of Jordan. By no,
Well,
by no,
Kareem also won 6 titles.
yeah.
He won because he won those 5 with the Lakers for Showtime, but don't forget he won one with the Bucks before he went to the Lakers.
But I think he also, I'm not sure how many it was, but I think he also holds the title for most consecutive All-Star games. I believe he was in the double digits at
Probably.
like 14 or 15
Yeah.
straight.
And for
So
all the people like beating the drum for like, oh, LeBron James this, LeBron James that. I look at it this way: basketball has changed a lot from what it was in the '90s. And I know when I say that, fans will roll their eyes, but man,
it
he had to
has.
put a super team. He left Cleveland to go to Miami and put a super team together, thinking they're going to win a ton of titles, and they could only win 2. Then he went back to Cleveland, and I mean that was his best work in Cleveland when they only got 1. But then he goes to LA and puts super teams together, and he's only won 1 there. So he's got 4 titles, putting super teams together everywhere he goes, and he's played for like 6 years longer than Michael Jordan ever did, and still he's lost more finals than he's won.
Yep.
And
I mean,
Jordan never saw a Game 7.
Look at what Jordan did, though. Jordan walked away from basketball at one point. Played baseball for a season, came back and still was real competitive.
Yeah, he come back and run it back again. Like
he played with Washington Bullets. Was it Washington? Yeah, it was Washington.
Yeah. So I got this really interesting this meme I keep up, all right, of Jordan versus LeBron James. Jordan 6 rings versus LeBron's 4. Jordan has 6 Finals MVPs versus LeBron's 4. He's got 5 league MVPs versus LeBron's 4. He has 0 Finals meltdowns. LeBron has 2.
Yeah.
Jordan has 2 Finals game winner shots. LeBron has 0. 3-peats. Jordan has 2. LeBron 0. Swept in the finals. Jordan was never swept in the finals. LeBron twice. Finals losses. 0 losses in the finals for Jordan. Like I said, he never saw a Game 7. 6 losses in the finals for LeBron. Playoff games with 40-plus points. 38 for Jordan. 28 for LeBron. And keep in mind, he's played 6 years longer. 8 playoff games with 50-plus points. LeBron's got 1. Jordan has 8. Playoff games with 60-plus points. LeBron 0. Jordan 1. So the fact that he was that dominant, and everybody's talking about how great LeBron is, who's a great player, no, nothing wrong with that. But the comparisons for like who's GOAT and who's not GOAT, it's just not there.
No, see what you brought up about that the game is different. It is, and if I'm alienating people, I don't care because, I mean, how many times back in the 80s, 90s did we have people getting triple doubles all the time, and now the game is about who can shoot the most 3-pointers. I watched the game recently, and I'm not much of a basketball watcher anymore. I kind of stopped after Larry Bird retired, but once in a while I'll catch a game here and there, and it was like 3-pointer, 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 and I'm like, where's the passing? Where's the mystique of like a Larry Bird type player who's gonna think about team before himself? Yeah. Larry Bird would throw up 3-pointers, but it was maybe 6 a game. There was a team that had like 40-something attempts in a game recently, and I'm like, when did the game become so fucking like all about themselves? Everybody's just throwing up the threes. Like where's the playmaking? Where's the setups? Where's the point guard calling the play? There's nothing of that anymore.
Yeah, where's the rough stuff under the rim? Like you never see that either.
But Bird and Lambert were perfect. You would always see fights underneath the rim between those two. The game to me is soft now. It's soft.
So out of that, so Gretzky, I can see why you'd say Gretzky out of that list. So I guess as far as the GOAT in boxing, it has to be Rocky.
Yes, and that's a great segue into our topic today, the great Rocky Balboa. So I did some numbers on this, and it started with an $800,000 budget. And anybody want to? I'm gonna let the if any was anybody in our chat, because I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna give them a chance to answer first. So
Yeah, they're in the chat. I just gotta go to Facebook to see who it is.
because I want to give them the opportunity to answer first. Does anybody know how much this movie made in gross sales? That's the question for the chat first. If nobody answers in 10 seconds, then I will enlighten you.
Wow, I mean, this movie came out 48 years ago.
Yeah, and $800,000. That was a decent budget for back then.
Yeah, wow, yeah. I guess back then, yeah.
All right, so I don't see anybody answering. This movie grossed $225 million on an $800,000 budget. That it was the number one movie that year as far as gross budget, and it did win It did win 3 Academy Awards. Was nominated for 10. Sylvester Stallone should have won for Rocky, but it did win Movie of the Year, which is a very prestigious award. So congratulations for them on that. But so you remember watching Rocky for the first time?
Oh yeah, I was a kid, and I think when I saw it, it was like VHS in the 80s. I got to watch that at home, and yeah, I mean, it's so inspirational. Everything from the music to the I don't know, the fanfare of this whole thing, and the suspension and tension that was built the whole movie. I mean, you couldn't watch that movie, and then even though he lost at the end, you couldn't not feel really inspired.
Yeah.
I don't know. How old were you when you saw it?
I probably saw it when I was like maybe 9, 10 years old, and I was really moved by this film because like I was a kid that didn't really believe much in himself, and we get introduced to this character. He's a down and out boxer, basically living off of pennies that he made for his appearances, and then he worked for the crime boss Gonzo as like a leg breaker. And the more you get to see Rocky through this movie, you know that basically that job that he had with Gonzo, he wasn't fit for, because even though he's a strong man, he could probably break legs and probably broken that guy's thumb that he was supposed to break. But as you see, he didn't go through with the job. He didn't break the guy's thumb, and I don't think he has a bad bone in the side of him. I think that's why he didn't do the job that he was supposed to do. And throughout the movie, you don't see a Rocky fighter. You see a Rocky that cares about other people. You see him in each scene. You see him develop like a care or a trust for someone, like he did with that little girl Maria, who was always smoking with the boys at the atomic hoodie shop. He tries to get her away from that because as a kid, you probably think that he was involved in that whole scene. So he knows that mindset and how it got him to where he is now. And he's trying to let someone else do better than he was. And of course, you see how ungrateful she was at the end. But that's what my first thought of Rocky was, how sympathetic of a character he is too.
Yeah, he's really always that nice guy that was so down on his luck. And I think that's very relatable to a lot of people that like I can't catch a break kind of thing in life, especially people that are the paycheck to paycheck, and life gets tough, man. And here you got this guy living in a hovel who's just trying to make ends meet in any way he can, and going down to a gym, an old broken down gym, trying to do his boxing, and then just not really doing it right until finally lightning in a bottle strikes and somebody calls him out for a fight, just because they couldn't find somebody to fit the bill. They decided they would go to this hometown and pick a fight with the guy.
Yeah, what scene really got me the most? It's not even a very noticeable scene. It's when he goes to his little hovel and he's looking in the mirror. He's looking at an old picture of himself, You know what I saw when I saw him look at that picture? He was disappointed in himself. He was probably looking at that picture saying, "One day I'm going to be somebody." And look at him now. He's living in this one room trash hole. He's fighting in small little clubs. He's not caught the break like you said he would catch later on. I saw he was disappointed in himself, and that's what makes this movie so relatable. Is because one day something great can happen to you, just out of the blue, like getting called on to fight the champion, who you could tell earlier in the movie he had so much respect for Apollo Creed when he was in the um, the bar with his bartender friend, and his bartender friend's like, "Oh, look at this clown," blah blah blah, and you calling Apollo Creed a clown? This man fought for everything he had, so he already had that respect, and now to get called because Apollo's opponent had fallen through, and they were looking for a novelty act, like almost like a circus act, and of course he pulls out the name, the Italian Stallion, and even Apollo makes a joke. He goes, "It sounds like a damn monster movie." Apollo Creed fights the Italian Stallion. So yeah, it's a very relatable movie because as a kid or even like a teenager, you're always waiting to get noticed by someone. You're always
Oh
waiting for
yeah.
that one shot. So it's very relatable to people that here's this guy that you want to cheer for now because he's had so much hard luck in his life, because nobody cared. Even Mickey. Even Mickey didn't care about him until Rocky got the shot. Then of course Mickey turned, "Oh, hey, you need a manager, buddy." Like, I was mad at Mickey in the beginning. I got to be honest. I thought he was using Rocky to get notoriety.
Yeah. And then, especially toward the end of the fight, when he kept telling him, stay down, and Rocky
Yeah,
would get back up. You know,
yeah,
I noticed, I looked up a couple of things on this movie, like from mentalfloss.com, and it said here, like, Stallone wrote the first draft of Rocky in 3.5 days. It says,
yeah,
with a little
yeah.
bit of screenwriting experience and the idea for Rocky in his head for almost a year after witnessing a Muhammad Ali fight, Sylvester Stallone, who had $106 in the bank at the time, spent about 84 hours using a pad and pen to write the first draft of Rocky. In his original version, Adrian was Jewish, Mickey was racist, and the Paulie character was Adrian's Jewish mother. Apollo Creed was Jamaican, and the script ended with Rocky throwing the fight and opening a pet store for Adrian with the money he made.
Oh wow.
I thought that was kind of interesting. And but they had to lower the budget so much they couldn't afford anybody else, and that's why Stallone, he wanted to make sure he was the star of it.
Well,
So
yeah, I
it
did.
said
I
he
looked
was,
up a couple of things. I looked up a couple things myself. They originally wanted Burt Reynolds to play Rocky.
yeah.
Now,
I was
now I
surprised at
can't.
that.
I cannot imagine Burt Reynolds as a boxer. I'm sorry. And then they wanted Ryan O'Neal, which I probably could have bought Ryan O'Neal, but I don't. I think it was wise for Stallone to kind of put in that he wanted the part, and they didn't want Stallone originally because at that time Stallone had only done some co-starring stuff, and there was actually a movie he did before Rocky that I love. It's The Lords of Flatbush with Henry
Oh, I've never
Winkler.
seen that. Never
Yeah,
seen that.
it's kind of like the inspiration behind like gang movies because they were a gang. They were called the Flatbush, and it was Henry Winkler. There was another guy I can't remember who was semi-popular at that time, and then there was Stallone, a very young Stallone, and he you got to check that one out by the way. And for Adrian, originally they wanted a couple of different people, but the name that caught my eye the most was Susan Sarandon
Yeah.
to play. Yeah, and I was like, I as much as I love Susan Sarandon, I think she's a fantastic actress. I still, I mean, maybe it's because we had 5 movies with Adrian that I'm pretty much like set on Talia Shire.
Yeah, I can't see anybody else playing that role after watching them.
And thinking about Talia Shire, what a great resume that woman has. She's been in a couple of the Godfather movies
Yeah.
and 5 Rocky movies, all of which have been money makers. I mean, you can't ask for I mean, I don't know if she did anything besides those, but like she said already, like The Godfather? If you're part of the Godfather, you're set for life.
And now, yeah,
So,
to be in Rocky. And
yeah.
also, I saw this also. Another person that was they were interested in having play Rocky was James Caan, and maybe I could
Yeah.
have saw that a little bit, but because he again we're talking Godfather,
Yeah.
and Bette Midler was offered the role but turned it down.
Well, Bette Midler is very. I know she's very picky because Bette Midler was also offered the role in Misery, and when she read the script for Misery, she's like, she loved the script, but she's like, I can't be that person, and she referred them to Kathy Bates, who was an up and coming actress at the time, and well, look at history. Kathy Bates won an award for that role, so maybe Bette Midler should be an agent because
Maybe,
yeah, because
yeah,
she definitely knows what role she's good for, and she doesn't know like the roles that she's not good for. So, and of course,
yeah,
Talia Shire steps in, and Talia Shire knocks it out of the ballpark. I think Talia Shire actually got nominated for best actress, either supporting. No,
so, I
she
think
was in
supporting
younger.
actress on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it
and
was
she didn't win, but
now. Have you been to Philadelphia before?
no, I have not. Well, I sorry, I have, but I never stayed. It was a pit stop on a trip down to Mississippi. So
Okay,
yes,
good.
Poe, I've been to the South before.
Did you go down to the crossroads at Mississippi?
Um, no, I went down to there was like casinos down there, and I was meeting a girl who I met online, ironically.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't about meeting. It was about other extracurricular activities.
Okay, so you weren't going down there to sell your soul to the devil at the crossroads to,
No.
fortune and glory. Okay, all right.
Uh,
I was just wondering if you've been to Philly because I was wondering if you'd ever seen the statue, the Rocky statue.
no, but Mr. Joey T, who's part of our dog network, has invited me to Philly, and he'll give me the grand tour of Rocky. So
Awesome. Take pictures. I'd love to see those.
yes, I'm gonna
Um,
I'm gonna run up I'm gonna run up the stairs, and but mind you, I can't run anymore. But if I have a chance to run the Rocky stairs, I'm gonna break out my running legs.
yeah, just don't break a leg in the
Yeah,
process.
I'm gonna tell
Hey,
I'm gonna tell Joey to play the music while I'm running up the stairs.
so here's a fun fact. I looked up this on this same article on Mental Floss about the run, the big famous run he did through Philly, where all the kids were
Yeah,
following him. On his run in the sequel, according to a 2013 calculation by Philadelphia Magazine, 800 Philadelphia children were used as extras for Rocky's run from his house to the steps of the Philadelphia Art Museum.
yeah.
And that run, if I guess in reality, if you really did it, would be 30.61 miles
Wow.
from all around the streets that he did all the way up to the museum. That's a
Yeah, I don't
long
know if
run, man.
that is a long run. And I think in the first movie when he started his run, yeah, you see something thrown at him. I forget what it was, but he caught it that was not scripted. That was
Yeah,
one of
what
the
was that?
side. I don't know if it wasn't an apple, but it was like it was something just to give Rocky to something to, like munch on while he's jogging. Well, one of the people on the streets didn't know they were filming, and
Oh,
he saw a guy running, so he just like I guess he was quoted later saying, "I just did what I would normally do. I would just throw something to let the guy eat something on the way." And so when it came into play, they just said keep filming because they thought it was a very spontaneous moment, and
yeah.
Rocky never broke stride or anything. So they that scene was never supposed to be in there, and it's funny how like things. Here's a funny little fact I just when I rewatched this movie for the show today. It's probably like my 100th time watching Rocky, and I could be exaggerating, it could be more or less, but there was one part I noticed that I never noticed before. The guy Gazo that he worked for. After Gazo says to his driver to pull over, he wanted to talk to Rocky. They're out in the street, and he's like, "Why didn't you break this guy's thumb like I told you to?" There's a point where Gonzo reaches for an inhaler, and because he has, I found out he has asthma. He pulled out the inhaler and gave a big puff. That wasn't part of the script either. He had told them that he had trouble breathing that day, and that he wanted to keep it on set just in case. So during the scene, I guess he was having an issue, forgot that he was filming, pulled it out and did the puff, and they kept it in there because they said it felt so spontaneous, and he never went off script. He kept with his lines and everything. But that part was never supposed to, they weren't supposed to portray him as an asthmatic. They were supposed to portray him as a hard hunting loan shark, and he didn't care about the people as long as he got his money back. So for me, that kind of gave me a little sympathy towards him. Here's a guy trying to run a business, but he could probably get taken out by any one of his crew.
I wonder if the guy ever made money betting against Rocky in the first one. That would be an interesting thing.
He probably did, but you could see that even Gonzo had a heart, because when Rocky got that shot, he gave him money to help training. That he reaches for the cigarette Rocky had in his mouth. He's like, "Hey man, you're training now." So you could see that even Gonzo had a thing for Rocky's.
Everybody going for their hometown hero now all of a sudden.
Yeah. So and then we get introduced to Apollo Creed, and your first impression of Apollo Creed is, man, this guy is conceited. I always said this about Apollo versus Rocky. Apollo is by far the superior fighter. His problem is him. He goes into these fights with a no care in the world. I'm gonna walk all over this guy, and there's no training someone's heart. Rocky has the heart of steel. He has the heart of gold. And he even said that all he wanted to really do, he said this to Adrian, was go the 12 rounds, go the 15 rounds, because no one's ever gone the distance with the champion. And nobody knew much about him except for Apollo's trainer. You remember the scene when Rocky's pounding the meat and it's on TV?
Yeah.
And the trainer is watching this. He goes to Apollo, he said, "Before you fight, you might want to see this." Because that scared him. That scared the trainer. Yeah. Here's this guy pounding raw meat and denting the frig out of it,
breaking ribs.
You even hear him in both fights, the first fight and then the remake fight. The sequel fight. He's telling Apollo, "Get the fuck away from him. Box with him. Don't try to go pound to pound." So if anybody should be the MVP on Apollo's team, it should have been the trainer, but Apollo was too proud to listen to him.
Yeah.
Always too proud to listen to him.
Yeah, the guy who just believed his own hype, believed his own headlines, and I guess it kind of gets back to the old saying, "To thine own self be true." And then at some point he believed all the other stuff, and he wasn't true to himself. That got him where he was to begin with. But I guess as far as sports movies, Rob, this one goes on my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this has. If Rocky is not on your top 5, shame on you. If Rocky is not on, no, sorry, the Rushmore is 4. If this movie is not in your top 10, don't even talk to me. Just stay away.
This is we were talking before. This movie is classic underdog story. Kind of man down on his luck makes good. This is woven. This is Americana all over it. The coming from behind for a victory and never giving up and perseverance and all the things that we learn in, I guess, overall about our country and history. The perseverance to just be better. And it's this story is Americana, has America written all over it. It's inspirational at the same time, a good storyline. Yeah. And really great action when you get down to the end of the fight. They had to choreograph the piss out of this because it was a great scene.
Now, I know a lot of people have criticized other Rocky movies for, well, Rocky never ducks, Rocky never blocks anything. And I can see the gripe on that, but this is what I say to that is he was such a fighter that he just wanted to win the fight, and if winning the fight meant like in Clubber Lang case, he knew if Clubber kept punching, he's going to wear himself out. So of course, what's Rocky do? He basically puts his head up there like, "Come on, man, hit me, and he knew what he was doing. Yeah, did he get a lot of bruising for it? Sure, but he did that in all the movies, including part one.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite part of the fight scene was how much people were supporting Rocky, and like he came down the crowd, people were chanting Rocky, and then his old bar, when he knocked Apollo out in the first round, his whole bar was going crazy.
Yeah.
Like they all came to the bar that day to support Rocky, and that became like a place that you got to see a few times throughout the series, because Rocky will always be Philadelphia, and so whenever the Philadelphia people had a chance to support their guy, they went out in full forces.
Yeah.
So it's a great Americana story. It's a story that will live forever, way past Sylvester Stallone being gone. You'll look back 50, 60 years later and say, where were you when you first saw Rocky?
Yeah, this will go down in like definitely American movie classics. If you could come up with the top 100 movies of greatest American movies, I think this will make the list.
Oh, this will make top 10 for me, easy.
So when you come onto the podcast sometime, we'll pin Rocky up on the Mount Rushmore, but let's fill that list out on the podcast sometime soon.
Okay. Top what?
Top movies, sports movies.
All right, so no particular order. My next pick will be Rudy.
All right. Yeah, save the other two, and we'll do the podcast, and then we'll.
Okay, but I want to throw that out there for a future episode. I want to do an episode about Rudy Rudiger.
That was a great movie. That was an amazing movie and a great story, real life story. So, but I got to throw Rocky out there as definitely on that Mount Rushmore. This is an inspirational movie. Even to this day, this is one of those guilty pleasure movies. If I'm scrolling through the channels trying to find something to watch, and Rocky is on one of those channels, I stop on that channel.
Yeah. Yeah, I watch a bunch of these reaction video channels because that's the big thing now. These young kids, 20-somethings, watching classic movies. And to me, even if you're 20 years old and you haven't heard of Rocky, like, huh? One person even said, "Oh, I didn't know Rocky had movies," when he was watching Creed. And I'm like, I want to jump through the microphone and punch the shit out of you. Like, how don't you know about Rocky? Like,
you don't have Creed without Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. No, you just took the words right out. Without Rocky, there is no Creed. There is no Creed movies. There is no legacy passed on. When they would talk, because when I was watching this video, it was a scene when Adonis Creed went to Adrian's restaurant and saw all the pictures of his dad, and like he knew about it, but he didn't really know the legacy behind it. And I'm sitting there going, like, even though you're a movie character, like, if you don't know who Rocky Balboa is, just stop. Just don't be a boxer, because.
Yeah, what an amazing movie. A good pick tonight, Rob. Good pick.
Yeah. So before we end the show, do you have any Gonzo Chronicles coming up?
Well, we're gonna do one.
Besides with me.
I've been jotting down some different topics, and one of them is like kind of what we got into earlier, or who had the best career, sports career, coaching career. A lot of topics like that, some interesting debatable things where I throw some, some interesting choices in there that you wouldn't normally think. So we'll talk about some of those, and war, one of the ones would be like the greatest, which is a better war movie, and go through a series of some of those. And but yeah, I'm going to be talking coming up about the Committee of 300 on an upcoming episode of the Gonzo Chronicles. If you don't know what that is, go Google it. We're going to be getting into some interesting conspiracy theories, folks. So stay tuned.
Joey T, stay tuned and watch.
The Committee of 300. Yeah. Like, what is that? What are these strange people doing in Davos all the time? And what is the World Economic Forum? Who are all these people? Wow. Why is it the wealthy elites come together to sort of plan the world for the next decade? Well, we'll talk about the Committee of 300 and the conspiracy theory world. Interesting, fun stuff. Good book. I think you're muted there, Big Rob. I think you're muted.
There I am.
All right, there you are.
Yeah, whenever I squeeze my phone too hard, it always hits something on the side, and my microphone's right there. I said R.I.P. to Burt Young, who passed away last year, who played Paulie. Man, I used to love that guy. Like, I know he was one of those characters that you should hate, but he was almost like a Rocky in a way. He was always down on his luck. Nobody ever gave Paulie like the time of day, and you're supposed to hate him because of how he treated his sister Adrian. But like I said this before the show. How many times do you get to grow up with a family in the movies? We started with the '76 Rockies, and then Rocky Balboa was like 19. Was it 2000? It was the Rocky 6 was like in the early 2000s.
Yeah, 2002, 4, somewhere around through there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
it was after 9/11. I remember it was after 9/11.
Yeah, because it was we lost Adrian after 5. She died off screen. Then we lost Paulie after 6. But the main characters stayed throughout that whole series. And it's very rare in today's movie making that you get to grow up with the same people, the same actors that play with them. So it's like they were almost like a part of your family, because these are the people that made you happy. You made yourself happy watching Rocky. You made yourself happy watching Rocky 2, after Adrian had the aneurysm, and Rocky staying right by her side, and you felt like you grew up with these people. So it's very rare in movies today that you get to grow up with a family like you did with the Balboas. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep the same actors because of all the complications, and I think probably the only other one really that stuck like the Harry Potter. Man, I'm surprised they kept those people together for so long.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right though. It's really kind of an oddity to see a series where they keep the same people all the time. And you see them grow over time. Yeah.
Mr. Producer, do we have any other Dognut shows coming soon?
Not that I know of. No, nothing yet.
Okay.
So next week.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You said next week.
Next week we might have something. I don't know. Got to check with everybody, see what's going on.
Okay, and the next I almost said Father Mahoney's. I'm so used to that. Next Mahoney's Madhouse. I was thinking of doing Police Academy. So, yeah, because I want to jump all over the place with this show. Like the old show was mostly all just horror. This one I want to kind of jump different genres, and I happened to catch myself watching Police Academy the other day, and I forgot how hilarious that movie is. So I was thinking about doing Police Academy. Yeah.
Cool.
And you guys on the Backwoods also mentioned how busy I've been lately. And yes, I've been coming up with some new concepts for my YouTube channel. One's called Building Up Others, where I take another show that I've been watching, whether it's on this network or just anyone that looks like they need a push. Like I already did Johnny Gore, who was on the old Father Mahoney's House of Horrors. He was my first episode, building up Johnny, and he appreciated that. And then the other thing I'm doing is a movie review series called Father Mahoney's Movie Reviews. And I just did Night Swim, which I was highly disappointed with. I did Kicking It Old School with Jamie Presley. Was it Jamie Presley? Yeah. And I just did the latest episode was Over the Top because I was preparing for my Sylvester Stallone with you guys tonight. So Go check out that series. Go check out the Gonzo Chronicles. Go check out all the shows on the Dognut Media Network, which you can also find on Twitter. Sorry, X. Sounds like a porno site now.
Yeah.
We're on X. Get down with us today. Hey, that should be our new tagline. Get down with us today on X.
Go live on X.
But
That'd be funny.
I also want to thank our producer for always being there for our shows. You know we love you, and
Yeah, man. No problem.
and looking forward to Mr. Gonzo Chronicles going on a live segment. Well, not a live segment. Sorry, a pre-recorded video segment. So hopefully we'll get that out soon, and someone's getting paged as we're talking.
Maybe that works. But yeah, I appreciate everybody. So tune into the Gonzo Chronicles, and I certainly appreciate it. Every listen we get, if you get a laugh, just make sure you like it. Subscribe to that sumbitch. It's free.
Like we say on all of our shows, we don't do this for money. We don't do this for fame. We do it because we love to do it.
Yeah, sometimes I do that because your mom likes it.
Oh, we're gonna start with the mom jokes, huh? No. Well, coming soon to Mahoney Madness, the mom jokes.
That's
one hour of mom jokes.
Talking about your mom. That'd be the name of the episode. Talk about your mom.
I like to fuck your mom, Beavis. Yeah. My mom.
Oh my God.
Oh, so this has been our very first episode. We're going off the rails now, guys.
One more reason I need to pray. Go read my Bible when I get off the show.
Cyrus's Bible. You'll go to hell after this.
Bible Hour with Cyrus Alderwood. All right, but thanks again, everybody. It's a good show. Appreciate it.
Awesome show. Thank you for anybody who watches or rewatches when it goes on to rewatchability. So with that, Mr. Medusa, take us away.
All right.